Number 1. Luke McCormick. There are accidents, and then there are choices so reckless they become criminal. Luke McCormick made such a choice, and two young brothers paid with their lives. June 7, 2008. McCormick, Plymouth Argyle's goalkeeper, was returning from a match against Nottingham Forest. He'd been drinking heavily. Rather than finding alternate transport, he climbed behind the wheel of his Range Rover and headed south on the M6 motorway. His blood alcohol level was 2.5 times the legal limit. He was traveling at 97 miles per hour. On that same motorway, a family was driving home. In the back seat sat brothers Aaron Peak, age 10, and Ben Peak, age 8. They were laughing, talking about football, living the innocent lives children should. Then McCormick's Rover slammed into their stationary vehicle at nearly 100 miles per hour. Aaron and Ben died at the scene. Their father and another child survived with serious injuries, but nothing could undo what happened. Two boys, full of potential and joy, were gone because a professional athlete chose to drink and drive. McCormick was arrested and charged with causing death by dangerous driving. In October 2008, he was sentenced to 7 years and 4 months. He served less than half before release in 2012. Then came the controversy that shocked football. Plymouth Argyle re-signed him. The goalkeeper who'd killed 2 children was allowed to resume his career. The boy's mother, Rachel Peak, spoke publicly about her devastation. "I will never forgive him," she said. "He took my babies." Despite protests, McCormick played for Plymouth until 2016, then retired. Today, Luke McCormick is free, living his life while Aaron and Ben remain forever 10 and 8. Their family lives with permanent grief. His career continued while theirs ended on a motorway because someone chose alcohol over responsibility. McCormick's recklessness was momentary but devastating. Number 2. Tomáš Řepka. Some players earn reputations for tackles. Others earn them for ending up in courtrooms. Tomáš Řepka mastered both. The Czech defender was known for aggressive play during spells at Fiorentina and West Ham United in the early 2000s. He represented his country at Euro 2000 and Euro 2004, establishing himself as a hard man who relished confrontation. But his aggression wasn't confined to the pitch. Řepka's first serious legal trouble came in the mid-2000s with multiple assault charges following nightclub incidents in Prague. He'd start fights, hurt people, then use his fame and money to minimize consequences. It became a pattern. Assault charges, court appearances, fines, probation, then more violence. In 2017, the legal system finally lost patience. Řepka was convicted of fraud related to a car loan scam, manipulating dealership contracts for financial gain. He received a 15-month sentence. Even prison didn't reform him. Upon release, more charges followed. Unpaid child support, additional assault allegations, driving offenses stacking up like yellow cards. By 2020, he was back in court facing fresh assault charges. The judge noted his complete lack of remorse or behavioral change. Football had given him wealth, fame, and opportunities. He squandered all of it through violence and dishonesty. Today, Tomáš Řepka lives in the Czech Republic, still making headlines for the wrong reasons. His footballing achievements are footnotes to a criminal record that reads like a rap sheet. Multiple prison terms, dozens of charges, and a reputation as one of football's most unreformed criminals. Řepka's crimes were numerous but relatively minor individually. Our next player committed one crime that ensured he'd never be free. Number 3. Gavin Grant. Football can be an escape from violence and poverty. For Gavin Grant, it should have been salvation. Instead, he brought the violence with him. Grant grew up on London's Stonebridge estate, an area plagued by gang violence. Football was his ticket out. He worked through non-league clubs, earning a professional contract with Gillingham, then moving to Millwall. He was living the dream, escaping the streets through sport. But he never really left. March 2004, before his career fully established, Grant was involved in a gang-related shooting. Leon Labastide was shot and killed in Harlesden, North London. The murder was part of escalating gang violence, tit-for-tat killings that had plagued the area for years. Grant was allegedly the shooter. Remarkably, he continued playing football while under investigation. Millwall signed him despite knowing about the murder charges. He played matches, scored goals, all while police built their case. Multiple clubs gave him contracts even as he awaited trial, seemingly willing to overlook murder allegations for goals. The trial finally began in 2010, 6 years after the killing. The prosecution presented witness testimony and forensic evidence linking Grant to the shooting. In July 2010, he was found guilty of murder. The judge sentenced him to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 25 years. Grant is currently serving his sentence. He'll be eligible for parole in 2035 when he's 51 years old. Leon Labastide's family continues living with their loss. Football gave Gavin Grant a chance to escape violence, but he chose to remain part of it. Grant's gang violence was rooted in street culture. Our next player's crime was rooted in international terrorism. Number 4. Nizar Trablesi. From professional footballer to convicted terrorist. Nizar Trablesi's journey is one of the most shocking transformations in sports history. The Tunisian midfielder played for Fortuna Düsseldorf in Germany's Bundesliga during the 2001 season. He made just one league appearance, came off the bench, scored a goal. It should have been the start of a professional career. Instead, it was the end. Shortly after his debut, Trablesi was arrested. German authorities had discovered his connections to Al-Qaeda. He wasn't just a footballer anymore. He was planning terrorism. Investigations revealed he'd been radicalized and recruited by Osama bin Laden's network. His mission: a suicide bombing attack on the Kleine Brogel Air Base in Belgium, which housed U.S. military personnel. He also planned an attack on the American embassy in Paris. Trablesi was found with explosives, weapons, and detailed attack plans. The evidence was overwhelming. In 2003, a Belgian court convicted him of terrorism conspiracy and sentenced him to 10 years in prison. But the legal saga wasn't over. In 2013, after serving his Belgian sentence, Trablesi was extradited to the United States to face additional charges. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit terrorism and was sentenced to time in a U.S. federal prison, where he remains today. From scoring goals in professional football to planning mass murder, from entertaining fans to attempting to kill soldiers, Nizar Trablesi's transformation remains one of football's most disturbing stories. Number 5. Marlon King. Some people make mistakes. Others establish patterns. Marlon King fell firmly into the latter category, repeatedly using violence to solve problems. The Jamaican striker had a successful Premier League career, playing for Watford, Wigan Athletic, and Hull City while earning 51 caps for Jamaica. He scored goals, earned good money, and had every reason to stay out of trouble. He chose differently. His first conviction came in 2002 for receiving a stolen BMW. He was sentenced to 18 months, but served just 9. Most would learn from that experience. King didn't. In December 2008, his most serious crime occurred. At a nightclub in London's Soho, King approached a 20-year-old university student. When she rejected his advances, he groped her. When she protested, he punched her in the face, breaking her nose. The assault was captured on CCTV. King was arrested, charged with sexual assault and actual bodily harm. The timing was particularly cruel. His wife was 9 months pregnant. While she prepared to give birth, he was in court facing justice for assaulting another woman. In October 2009, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He served his time, was released, and briefly resumed his career. But in 2013, another conviction followed for a hit-and-run incident. By then, clubs had stopped signing him. His career was effectively over. Today, Marlon King lives in Zambia, reportedly owning a large estate. He remains on the sex offender registry for life. Multiple clubs that signed him now distance themselves from his legacy. 51 Jamaica caps and a Premier League career, all overshadowed by 3 criminal convictions and a pattern of violence toward women. Number 6. Mickey Thomas. Some crimes are violent. Others are calculated schemes that exploit the vulnerable. Mickey Thomas chose the latter, using young footballers as pawns in his criminal enterprise. The Welsh winger was a star. 51 caps for Wales, spells at Manchester United, Everton, Chelsea, and a legendary stint at Wrexham where he scored against Arsenal in one of the FA Cup's greatest giant killings. By 1993, Thomas was in his second spell at Wrexham, winding down a successful career. But behind the scenes, he was orchestrating something far more sinister. Thomas became involved in a counterfeiting operation producing fake £10 and £20 notes. Rather than risk exposure himself, he recruited Wrexham's youth trainees, teenagers who idolized him, to launder the money. These young players cashed the fake notes at shops and betting offices across North Wales, believing they were helping their hero. They weren't. They were committing serious crimes. Police caught on quickly. In 1993, Thomas was arrested and charged with counterfeiting offenses. The evidence was overwhelming. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. The man who'd thrilled crowds with his dribbling skills now wore a prison uniform. He served his time and was released, remarkably resuming his playing career in non-league football. Today, Mickey Thomas works as a football pundit and after-dinner speaker, often joking about his time behind bars. The youth players he exploited received lesser sentences but carried the criminal records into adulthood. Thomas's crime wasn't violent, but it was predatory, exploiting young players' trust for personal gain. His willingness to corrupt teenagers to protect himself reveals a moral bankruptcy that no amount of footballing skill can excuse. Our next player's crime led to one of football's greatest redemption stories. Number 7. Tony Adams. Not all stories on this list end in disgrace. Sometimes rock bottom becomes the foundation for rebuilding. Tony Adams proved that redemption is possible. Arsenal's legendary captain and England international had everything: talent, leadership, respect. But behind the success lurked alcoholism that threatened to destroy him. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, Adams drank heavily. He had multiple drunk driving arrests, each time escaping serious consequences through legal maneuvering or luck. May 1990, his luck ran out. Driving home from a team social event, Adams crashed his car into a wall while intoxicated. This time, the courts had seen enough. He was sentenced to 4 months in Chelmsford prison for drunk driving. Arsenal stood by him. Fans welcomed him back. But Adams knew something had to change. He served 58 days and returned to football. Initially, nothing changed. He continued drinking, continued leading Arsenal, won the league title in 1991. But the alcohol was winning. Finally, in 1996, Adams confronted his addiction. He got sober and never drank again. What followed was remarkable. He continued playing at the highest level, captaining Arsenal to multiple titles and representing England at major tournaments. Number 8. Rene Higuita. Some footballers become legends for their saves. Rene Higuita became infamous for who he tried to save. The Colombian goalkeeper was already famous for his flamboyant style, particularly his audacious scorpion kick save at Wembley. But in 1993, his fame took a dark turn when his connection to Pablo Escobar, the world's most notorious drug lord, became public. Higuita was arrested for acting as an intermediary in a kidnapping case. A friend had been kidnapped and Higuita agreed to deliver the ransom, $64,000. Under Colombian law, profiting from kidnapping in any way, including as a middleman, is illegal. Higuita claimed he was just helping a friend, but prosecutors argued he received payment for the service, making him complicit. The connection to Escobar's cartel tainted everything. Higuita had attended parties at Escobar's compound, socialized with cartel members, and moved in circles where kidnapping was business as usual. When he delivered that ransom, he became part of that world legally. He was sentenced to 7 months in prison and served the full term. Released in 1994, he remarkably returned to Colombia's national team, playing in World Cup qualifiers. His career continued until 2004, but the scandal never disappeared. Higuita never expressed genuine remorse, insisting he was merely helping someone in need. Today, Rene Higuita is remembered in Colombia as a legendary goalkeeper, but internationally, he's forever linked to Pablo Escobar and the violence of the drug trade. Higuita's crime involved the world's most famous drug lord. Number 10. Peter Swan. The worst crime in sports isn't violence, it's betrayal. Peter Swan committed the ultimate betrayal, deliberately losing matches for money. Swan was a star. A towering center-back for Sheffield Wednesday in England, he represented his country at the 1962 World Cup in Chile. He had everything a footballer could want: respect, success, a place in England's national team. Then he threw it away for gambling profits. In the early 1960s, Swan and teammates David Lane and Tony Kaye conspired to fix Sheffield Wednesday matches. They bet against their own team, then deliberately played poorly to ensure losses. The corruption was systematic. They'd identify key matches, place large bets, then sabotage their team's performance. Fans cheered, unaware they were watching their heroes throw games. The scheme worked until 1964, when a newspaper investigation exposed the conspiracy. The scandal rocked English football. 3 players, including a World Cup representative, arrested for match fixing. Swan was charged with conspiracy to defraud and found guilty. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison and received a lifetime ban from football. The ban was lifted in 1972, but Swan was 33, his career over. He never played professionally again. The man who'd played in a World Cup was now a disgraced ex-convict. He worked ordinary jobs, lived quietly, carried the shame until his death in 2021. Peter Swan's crime hurt no one physically, but it wounded something deeper: the integrity of sport itself. Fans trust that players are trying their hardest,